Sodienye Mbatum stood in a courtroom in Harcourt, Nigeria, listening to a judge tell him he was going to die. He was sentenced to death by hanging because he thought 2 mobile phones were worth more than a human life. Before he was a man waiting for an executioner, he was a cold-hearted killer who lured an innocent father named Chukuma Eleje to a house at number 4 Ada George Road, only to end his life in the most horrible way possible. This is the story of how a simple delivery turned into a nightmare that shocked the whole country of Nigeria. On Saturday, March 25, 2017, a 38-year-old man named Chukuma Eleje woke up early to go to work. He worked as a delivery rider for Jumia, which is a big online shopping company in Nigeria. Chukuma was a very hard-working father who had 4 children and a wife named Blessing. That morning, things were very stressful for the family because their landlord had told them they must pay their house rent within 1 week or they would be kicked out onto the street. Chukuma hugged his children and promised them that when he came back home later that day, he would bring lots of goodies and treats for them to enjoy. He was full of hope and determined to make enough money to keep a roof over his family's head. He got on his delivery motorbike and headed out into the busy streets of Harcourt, not knowing that he was riding toward a trap set by a man who had no heart. The customer who had placed the order was 28-year-old Sodienye Mbatum, who lived at a house on Ada George Road in the Shell location of the city. Sodienye had gone online and ordered 2 very expensive smartphones and a few other items, but he had absolutely no intention of paying the 181,000 naira that the items cost. Instead of having money ready, Sodienye had prepared a heavy wooden tool called a pestle, which people usually use to grind food in the kitchen. He waited behind the door for the delivery man to arrive, planning to take the phones by force. When Chukuma pulled up on his motorbike, he was just happy to be finishing another job so he could get paid. He walked up to the door carrying the package, thinking this was a normal day of work. But as soon as he stepped inside the house, Sodienye swung the heavy wooden pestle and hit Chukuma very hard on the head. Chukuma fell to the floor, dizzy and bleeding from the attack. Sodienye did not stop there, because he was afraid that if Chukuma stayed alive, he would tell the police what happened. To make sure the delivery man never spoke again, Sodienye took a large plastic bag and pulled it over Chukuma's head, tying it tight so the poor man could not breathe. He then took some long cable wires and tied Chukuma's hands and feet together so he could not struggle or fight back. Between the heavy blow to his head and the plastic bag cutting off his ear, Chukuma Eleje died right there on the floor of the stranger's house. Sodienye then calmly took the 2 smartphones and the other items out of the delivery bag. He had killed a father of 4 children just to get 2 phones that he could have worked to pay for, showing that he had no respect for human life at all. After the murder, Sodienye realized he had a big problem because there was a dead body in his house and he needed to get rid of it before anyone found out. He went to the backyard where there was a septic tank, which is a big underground pit used for waste. He began to wrap Chukuma's body in black plastic bin bags, tipping them up so the body looked like a large pile of trash. While he was trying to drag the heavy body toward the septic tank, a young man named Exile Divine arrived at the house. Exile was 25 years old and had been called by Sodienye to come over and help him remove some old tattoos. When Exile walked into the yard, he saw Sodienye pushing a strange heavy black bundle toward the hole in the ground. Neighbors were also watching from their windows and asking Sodienye why he was messing with the septic tank, but Sodienye just made up excuses and told them he was fixing a plumbing problem.
at work. Then after I asked, what are you doing close to the soccer way? He said he wanted to change chamber. I overheard that too. He said, okay, I went inside. And I went inside the room. In the bath where they do take baths, I saw a spit of blood.
Because I was trying to, he hit somebody on the head, the blood was rushing.
Louder. Talk louder.
He hit somebody on the head, and the blood was rushing. The fear, I was vibrating. I didn't know how to do. If I'm lying,
Discipline says it.
Exile Divine did not know what was inside the black bags at first, so he walked into the house to wait for Sodienye to finish his work outside. However, when Exile went into the bathroom to wash his hands, he saw something that made his heart race with fear. There were bright red blood stains all over the floor and the walls of the bathroom. When Sodienye finally came back inside, Exile confronted him and asked him why there was blood in the house and what he was doing with those black bags outside. Instead of explaining, Sodienye pulled out a gun and pointed it directly at Exile's head. He told Exile that if he ever told a single soul about what he saw, he would hunt down Exile's mother and his entire family and kill them all. Exile was the only son of a sick mother who had diabetes, and he was terrified that Sodienye would actually carry out the threat, so he stayed quiet and watched in horror as the body was dumped. If you want to make sure you never miss a story about how justice is served to people like Sodienye, you need to subscribe to our channel, Tremendous Crime in History. We tell these stories so that the world remembers the victims and learns how the police catch the bad guys. By subscribing, you help us keep the memory of people like Chukuma alive and stay informed about the real-life mysteries that happen in our world. Please, click the subscribe button right now and join our community. While Sodienye thought he had gotten away with the crime, the police were already starting to look for Chukuma. The Jumia company realized their rider had gone missing, and they used the GPS and delivery records to find the last house he visited. By Monday morning, March 27, 2017, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, arrived at number 4, Ada George Road. They broke into the house at 3 a.m. and arrested Sodienye Mbatum, Exile Divine, and a woman named Joy, who was Sodienye's girlfriend. When the police searched the backyard, they opened the septic tank and found the body of Chukwuma Eleje. It was a very sad moment as the officers pulled the man out of the dark pit. Back at Chukuma's home, his wife Blessing was confused because people were coming to her house saying they were sorry, but she didn't even know her husband was dead yet until the police confirmed the news later that morning. In the police station, Sodienye tried to be very sneaky and told the officers that he was not the killer. He lied and said that Exile Divine was the one who hit Chukuma with an iron rod and killed him. He tried to frame the young tattoo artist to save himself from jail. But Exile told the police the truth about the gun, the threats to his mother, and the blood he saw in the bathroom. The police investigated very carefully and found out that Sodienye was the one who had ordered the phones and the one who had planned the whole thing. They realized that Exile was just an unlucky witness who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The woman, Joy, was also found to be innocent of the murder. The police gathered all the evidence, including the smartphones and the wooden pestle, to take to the court so a judge could decide who was telling the truth. The case went to the High Court in Port Harcourt, where a judge listened to everything. The judge saw that Sodienye Mbatum had planned to rob the delivery man from the very beginning. The evidence showed that he was the one who used the pestle and the plastic bag to kill Chukuma. Because the crime was so cruel and done just for money, the judge found Sodienye guilty of murder. In Nigeria, the punishment for murder is very serious, so the judge sentenced him to death by hanging. Exile Divine was set free because the judge believed he only stayed quiet because he was scared for his family's life. Even though Sodienye's lawyers tried to say the trial was unfair and wanted to complain to a higher court, the facts remained that a man was dead because of Sodienye's greed. Chukuma's family would never get him back, but at least the man who hurt him would never be able to hurt anyone else again. Before we end this story, I want you to go to the comment section below and write down the city where this crime took place. This helps us see who was paying attention to the details of the story. The take-home lesson from this sad story is that no amount of money or fancy gadgets is worth more than a human life. Chukuma Eleje was a hero who died while trying to take care of his children, and his story reminds us to always be kind to those who work hard to serve us. It also shows that even if someone hides their crimes in a dark septic tank, the truth usually finds a way to come out into the light. Thank you for watching this video on tremendous crime in history. We want to hear what you think about this case, so please leave a comment and tell us if you think the judge made the right choice. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends so they can learn about this important piece of history too. We will see you in the next story, where we explore more real-life events that changed the world.